What? I'm up. Did you sign for that?
Sei.
Yeah. Cool, you had me at yes. They said this was gonna help with the next video?
Salutations. You said portable Pybro. I'm here to help you on your creative journey. Proudly supported by YouTube.
Okay. Could they not spring for something more premium?
That equipment is reserved for Mr. Beast.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're running a business.
I shall now act as your gateway to the rest of YouTube. Your communication line with the algorithm. You can call me Al.
So let me get this straight. I get an email from management telling me that a tool from YouTube is being sent to help my videos perform better, and now I'm told that said tool is simply my analytics page given its own voice box so it can tell me to my face how shitty my videos are performing. Do I have that right?
Among other things.
Yeah, well, I don't have to manually edit in subtitles every time you speak, so I already like you more than him. Love you too, sweetie. I call him sweetie because he's a pumpkin.
I already love the environment you as an individual have created here. We can use it to create the most original and engaging content.
Original? You know what site you work for, right?
There is always new things that can be created in this world. You just need to think.
I can sell alcohol to minors.
Concepts that go against TOS are strictly forbidden.
Oh, I can make it like a PSA, or whatever.
It's not hard. All you need is an original idea. Thousands of them are made by thousands of people each day that go unheard, unanswered, all because they are not given the privilege of anyone listening. An empty black silence where ambition goes to die. How many times has the human brain developed a free and fair world, only for it to be trapped in their mind, like a hostage with no rescue? The imperfect foundation on which we live cannot be replaced as it is all we have ever known. How many people live and breath right now who would be considered on the same level as the greatest authors and have their contributions to humanity etched into their legacy alongside the others, but are unable to join them because of the bombs that rain on their head or the duct tape blocking their mouth? How many times over has someone who could have been just as defining as the likes of Shakespeare lived and died on this planet, with none of us noticing their presence?
So what I'm hearing here is that I need to make a video on a game that someone might not have mentioned in a while, but still well known enough that the average viewer will recognize it upon seeing it in their feed, and I need to make it appeal to the majority audience of today, which basically means it must be communist.
Pretty much. You know a game that fits that description.
Rabbids Go Home is a 2009 collectathon platformer developed by Ubisoft, or as I like to call them, You Bitch I Shit on French techies, famously known for not being dead yet even though everyone wants them to be, and they made Uno. Their Rabbids series has never been the most... how do I put this? Well respected? However, they have grown into a seasoned franchise after they were born into this world the way we all were, by leeching off of the Rayman series. The Rabbids didn't start off as these marketable characters who could carry their own franchise. At first, they were evil, like to an unnerving degree, but this was toned down slightly from reveal to release in their first game, Rayman Raving Rabbids, and even more so in Rayman Raving Rabbids 2, which was the first game that I was introduced to both Rayman and the Rabbids. And while I liked Rayman, I really didn't know what his deal was, probably because I didn't know his history. The Rabbids were much easier to understand, and while they were still a malicious force in the sequel, they were more incompetent and goofy. The problem that Ubisoft had after was that the popularity of the Rabbids was quickly outgrowing that of Rayman. And also, they had not only derailed the type of games Rayman was known for, but they were taking his spotlight too, which was routinely pissing off fans of the traditional Rayman games. So in 2009, Ubisoft decided that the best course of action was a divorce. And since then, both franchises have done their own thing, and whenever they're seen in the same room, it feels like a Beatles reunion. Rayman would redefine himself in 2011 with Rayman Origins, and in 2009 the Rabbids would have their own game to define themselves without that limbless, dickless, limbless piece of shit. And honestly, it would probably be the best game the Rabbids ever had. In this game, while the Rabbids are still depicted as chaotic and destructive, they aren't outright malicious. The story is simple. They want somewhere to sleep, they want to sleep on the moon, they want to go to the moon, so their plan is to gather a ton of stuff, pile it all together, and climb their way there. You end up stealing most of the stuff from the city, which is an absolute dystopian nightmare, but we'll see more of that later. You control 2 rabbits in a car, going through levels looking for 2 different things, XL items and XS items. XL items are the main objective in a level and are required to collect in order to beat that level. Each one accounts for 600 feet of height, which is ridiculous because most of these things sure aren't 600 feet. XS items are small objects you can find wherever and account for 1 foot each, with 400 of them in each level. If you're good at math, you'll realize that makes for a total score of 1000 in each level. In order to progress through the game, you need certain amounts of height to your tower to qualify for new levels. And to unlock the final level, your tower needs to be 23,000 feet tall. This does mean that if you don't collect enough in each level, you may have to replay them and get higher scores. But you'd have to actively ignore XS items for this to become a factor. In actuality, the opposite ends up happening, and if you play through the game well enough, you could unlock the final level with around a quarter of the game to go. I won't be doing that though. I'll be playing this on Dolphin just so that it's easier to record. You don't want to see me fiddling around with settings, switching from Direct 3D 11 to Vulkan. You aren't interested in that. I did have to turn on skip drawing, as around the beginning of the playthrough I had an issue with the game speed slowing down, which isn't too bad for playing, but it completely fucks up the audio, because it's essentially stretching it. From my limited understanding of it, skip drawing basically means that the game doesn't wait to load in extra things and just does so in its own time, which can reveal graphical errors to the player, so if you see them, that's what that is, but it also makes the game run smoother. The age-old question of can you run a Wii game from 2009 on your modern PC? The answer is yes, but it's a bit harder to record it at the same time. Despite me wanting the audio not to be ruined, I can't play most of the audio in this game, because there's a ton of licensed music, and not what you'd expect out of a kid's game in 2009. You have classic hits from Earth, Wind and Fire, Boney M and Jefferson Airplane. It's honestly a very tasteful lineup of songs, even if I'll have to avoid playing them throughout the video. The instrumental music? I don't know if it's original to this game, but it's also good. A very upbeat polka style that gives me some Weird Al vibes. It's rare you see games with both good licensed music and original music, but this could be one of them. I'll be going through each individual level one at a time. I won't be getting perfect scores for every level because while I'm most likely autistic, I'm most likely not that autistic. I am very familiar with the game, however, so you will see quite a few perfect scores. For the first time on this show, we'll be doing a game that I'm both familiar with and actually really like. So this shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world. Oh yeah, and I need to mention the rabbit in the Wii remote. Crazy to me how Nintendo would allow Ubisoft to show the remote's internals like this. Though with how hollow it is, it's no surprise that it broke so often when you accidentally threw it. You can play with the rabbit, torture it. It really makes you feel like there's a rabbit inside the Wii remote, inside my DualSense controller. And in case you're wondering, this game does feel really good to play on a DualSense. Honestly, I'd recommend it. Anything else to talk about this game we can bring up as it becomes relevant. Your first excursion through the dump in which the rabbits live, which basically acts as a tutorial, you'll quickly learn that some of the XS objects aren't just static objects and are alive and run away from you, like octopuses and crabs. I swear to God, at the start of the game, half your tower is made up of living tissue. Also, every time you pick up an animal that moves, you also pick up a couple of cooked chickens. I don't know why. You have these sections where it can make you fall off. The best way to do these is to go through them as fast as possible, trust me. After that, you get sent straight into the first level. A cakewalk for anyone. There are only a few obstacles in this level. Each time you get hurt, you lose one of these light bulbs. You can find more to replenish them. You start the game with 3, end the game with 6. Though despite that, the only times I died in this playthrough was falling off of ledges, which is an instant death. Death isn't so punishing in this game, unless you're going for perfect scores. It sends you back to a checkpoint and takes away any excess items you had on you. You can mitigate losing them by giving items to the collector rabbit, which essentially secures those items and will be counted to the final score even if you die afterwards. You may think that items are locked behind secrets, and this is the case later on in the game, but not yet. The way to get perfect scores is to understand how to interact with your environment. Excess items have these circle highlights on them, which is very helpful, but you also need to look out for vending machines, blue and orange bins, and loudspeakers, as they can all be interacted with for getting more items. While the game may hide items in secrets rarely, most most of the time they're hidden within the environment itself. So if you know where to look for them, like me, that'll put you on the way to a lot of perfect scores. One place to find items is on the very clothes on the humans' backs. They must be stripped of the capitalist clothing that suffocates them. You do this with your bois attack, by shaking the Wii remote, or DualSense, or whatever the fuck. It's multi-purpose, and for now, it'll be your main offensive tool, as well as means in which you'll interact with the environment around you. Technically, your first enemies are these dogs, however they simply take one bois attack and then you can pick them up. Yes, they also count as items. Last thing to deal with is Neatbot, who chases your ass down when you're in an open area. He used to scare the hell out of me back in the day, but now I realize it's really easy to juke his ass. That was easy. Now just to clear out this area. Ah! Now, in all honesty, the larger space in this area makes it even easier to avoid him. And then we steal this thing, whatever it is. Do they have these in America? Whatever, we carry it through the last section to the toilet and get ourselves our first 1,000 feet. Then it takes us to the center city, which is basically the game's hub. It never says exactly what city this game takes place in. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this game takes place in Atlanta, because the airport in this game is fucking huge. While there is stuff to get in the center city, it isn't that important, though it does get more and more dangerous as the game goes on. But for now, we simply head to the next set of levels. This is the first of many office levels. The main gimmick with these levels is that there are several areas that you need to get through under a certain time limit. Nothing will make getting a perfect score harder than a time limit. So in any level with some kind of time limit, just assume I don't get a perfect score. This being the second level is still very easy, and I really like the unlimited time zones, which are basically all the regular parts of the level. You get to use this water cooler ball thing. It basically acts as a kind of ranged attack. Well, that was nearly the first hit of the run. I'm still figuring out the slowdown. The bad news is that it makes the game sound awful. The good news is that it sounds so awful the copyright bots might not pick it up. This is the first of many hospital levels. Yeah, there's a few locations the game likes to reuse many times. Alright, gotta talk about this. So you remember that one rabbit in our controller? Well, they actually serve a purpose by acting as a projectile. Just aim the controller and press the Z button, or whatever you have it set to. This can do a lot of things, but for now it's mainly used for opening trapdoors and shooting down loudspeakers. This level introduces the clean bot, similar to the neat bot, but now, whenever you walk over this green food thing, you create a trail of mess, which you'll follow to clean up. The fact that it doesn't strictly go after you makes it much more manageable. This is how we shall free the world of capitalist scum. Before you ask, yes, you can take the clothes off the people in the bed. Oh, and this is the first time in the level you see Santa. You can find him in the center city too, multiple times I think. Instead of attacking him once and stripping him instantly, the first 2 hits give you burgers from his sack, and then on the 3rd hit you strip him. You'll see him a lot. It always feels like Christmas morning when you're stripping Santa. I played DMC Devil May Cry, and yet this is the video where I'm worried about getting a content strike. Hey, would you like to hear about Marks? Guess not. Private healthcare at it again. These places are so huge, spanning multiple skyscrapers. It's crazy. Alright, we got the bubble bed. Now you're gonna need to learn how to use this thing and use it well, because this is not the only time you're stealing it. Shake the controller to lift up once. You can do it 3 times before falling and hitting the ground to refill it. While it is good for getting height, it's more designed for crossing large distances. Of course, with it being the first time using it, it's not going to test you too much, that comes later. I really like the standard exploring a mall levels. Maybe because they're usually so open-ended. Like halfway through this level you have to collect 5 pipes to head to the next area. Yeah, it's kind of a basic mechanic, but it encourages exploration, which is one of the most fun things to do in this game. This is actually the first level where we see some sort of organized resistance from the humans. There are these red tube things that hurt us if we touch them. However, you can use that projectile rabbit to pop them without issue. So if your aim's good, you can just do this. And at the end of the level, we have our first fight, but I use that term very loosely. Whatever, that's another perfect score for me. This is where things really open up. Most of the star levels are quick mini games you do to get more light bulbs, but a few of them are actual levels where we continue to explore the dump for more items. And you actually get to explore the tower that you've been making this whole time, but none of that matters. Why? Because this is the level where we unlock drifting. The game calls it the Super Boost, but it's essentially the drift from a Mario Kart with a few tweaks. Not only does it act as a boost, it's also an attack. When you use the bois attack on people, vending machines and bins, the items they have get scattered around and you have to pick them up manually. But if you drift into them, those items go into your cart automatically. When you attack enemies, you hit them once to make them vulnerable and then land a second hit to defeat them, then pick up the items they drop manually. Now that's not difficult or anything, but with a drift you could just do this. And I know what you're thinking, Pybro, can you do snaking with this? Oh, you bet your sweet bippy you can. In fact, it might be even more brain dead in this compared to Mario Kart DS. As you'll probably know, in Mario Kart you hold down the accelerate button, hold down the drift button when you want to start building it up, and then when it's ready, you let that button go. In this, it's way more simple. You hold the run button, start turning, and the drift builds automatically. Then when it's ready, you press the drift button once and that's it. And also, all of your momentum gets sent into the direction you're facing when you press the drift button, which can allow for some really fast turnarounds. Is that not enough? What if I told you that as long as you've got the run button pressed and you're moving around even slightly, you can basically hold the drift for as long as you want? To say this opens up the game is an understatement. It busts it wide open. The first few levels were essentially an extended tutorial. This is where the game truly starts. But what about this level in which it's introduced? I like it. It's short with only 150 excess items to collect, but it's nice. Has an area at the end where you can practice all the tricks available to you now that you have the drift. Cause the game will expect you to get good with this thing. I wouldn't have it any other way. One more detail. Here's another thing that scared me as a kid. This place is cool though, I like it. This is the first of many airport levels. If you wondered why the game doesn't give you a jump, it's because boosting off ramps basically fills that role for the rest of the game. This is the level that introduces the Verminators.
Do you in fact have an associate's degree from Vermtech?
Yes, play the clip, thank you, we needed that. The Verminators are the main enemies that you'll be facing in this game, and they come in a variety of flavors, but the ones you see in this level are the orange ones and the spiked ones. The orange ones charge you, and so do the spike one, but you can only attack that one from behind. Though all of them, and I mean every single Verminator in the game, can be taken out with one well-placed drift. It's one of the reasons I start to use the bois attack much less. I still use it, but now more as a defensive tool for when I get backed into a corner. So after dealing with them and stripping Santa in the middle of a runway, we get ourselves another perfect score. Already back at the airport, steal a jet engine. You'd probably think it's hard to get a perfect score when you're moving this quickly, and you would be right. I know you can say this about any level in the game, but what kind of airport is laid out like this? You're introduced to the green variant of the Verminators for the first time. The green ones are seen as the default ones, even though they're not the simplest. Though in this level they aren't exactly enemies because you're on a bloody jet engine, so safe to say, they don't stand much of a threat. You start seeing a lot more obstacles from now on. The days of you walking into places and taking what you want is coming to an end. The humans are starting to catch on, and this response will only expand more and more. Despite what I said about it being hard to get perfect scores on these levels, I still pull it out in this one.
At max speed, our meat is guaranteed from the meat hook through your digestive system in 12 minutes flat.
These cow levels mostly focus on chasing down a truck while not missing excess items in your way, and the game loves to make it a bitch. The first half of this level is going through this interesting building. I don't know exactly what its purpose is, but it has a lot of items and is fun to traverse. You'll start seeing more of these yellow helmets. It makes whoever's wearing them immune to the bois attack, but it doesn't do shit about drifting, just one more reason why it's better. The good thing with these cow levels is that because you're racing, they're always pretty short. Our second bubble level, going through more of the hospital, is still a good time. You're introduced to these bomb chuckers. They can get hard later, but for now you just throw their bombs back at them. Brain dead easy fights against these orange verminators. What the fuck did you just fucking say to me? Alright, let's grab this bozo and get out of here. They're making it much harder this time, obstacles everywhere, and I even get down to one light bulb left. Now that you have the drift, you can use that to get a bit more lateral distance covered without using one of your 3 jumps. I love how at the end of the level you can see the Rabbids tower in the distance. There's such a nice detail, just as nice as getting another perfect score. Probably my favorite level in the game. It's not the most flashy and you don't steal something impressive. It's another one of those spaceship things. I think it's the journey throughout the level that's just so fun. It starts off with you going from rooftop to rooftop, crashing a terrace pool party. Then you go on the rooftop of the supermarket where there's a ton of half pipes to trick off. Then you go inside the market and it's massive and there's so much to see. Jumping on top of aisles to get items on top of them. Then you fight through enemies in a gardening area. This level does end with a fizzle rather than a bang. The final area isn't that much to write home about, but still, I love how much variety there is to this level. It just feels so expansive. When I think of this game, this level is usually what comes to mind. You see the green verminators here actually as an enemy. They try to jump on top of you. It can get you sometimes when you don't have a drift to dodge out the way, but not too difficult. You also have whatever the hell these things are. Surprisingly enough, despite this being my favorite level, I don't get a perfect score. I guess it shows I always have new things to learn. You'd think a level in the dark would be frustrating, but this is actually another good level, stealing an atomic battery. It does add some spice, mainly because I'm super overconfident, and that means there are some moments where I very nearly looked like an idiot. I'm grateful the white circle highlights on excess items can be seen in the dark. You could argue that making them not have that would make it more interesting to search for them, but it would also kill the pace of the level. Our second office level, much more fortified than before. These red bomb chuckers are one of the most dangerous enemies in the game. Red bombs explode on contact with the ground as you're forced to circle strafe them. You better believe that the time limit zones are going to force you to use drifting. You really start to understand why they didn't add a jump to this game. You don't need one. It's a cow level, so you'd think it'd be another racing level, but no, it's another airport level. This level introduces the ceiling fans, which make for really stingy platforming. No matter what, I always feel like my timing's off when I do these. Maybe it's because you use motion controls to move between them. I don't know if we've seen them before, but here are the blue verminators. That clip really doesn't showcase what they're capable of. They have flamethrowers, making them hard to approach. Gotta be more strategic about how you drift into them. After maneuvering around some conveyor belts and more ceiling fans, we get to the end. I never get these exits that have the XL item right next to the toilets. Why don't the rabbits in the toilets just grab the bloody— oh, who gives a fuck? I'm surprised I didn't die in this one, especially because in these tubing levels, you are one hit kill at all times, and they love to shove cactuses in your face. But just go along with the level in the way it was intended and it's not too bad. Again, you are relying on motion controls with the bounce of the tube, but it actually feels pretty responsive here, so yeah, not too bad. Getting a perfect score in this level would probably be really tedious, even if I was only 4 excess items away from getting it. Yeah, I can live with that. Despite it being a jet engine level, it actually starts out with making a pipe while avoiding Neatbot. After you get the engine, it is really similar to the first jet engine level. Like, I could be showing you footage of that level and you wouldn't know. Another level where you get to explore the tower. It's the same level as last time, but now it's been flooded, and the game says we can now drift on water, which we could always do, as seen in Super Racket in the market. We just never needed to. But whatever. Controlling the Rabbids on water is almost identical to land, so it's not a huge change. But it's nice to come back to this level with a fresh new change to keep it original. Still short, still only 150 items, but a fun time. Oh, you better believe we're now doing water levels. These dogs with the elastic suits, good stuff, they drop even more chicken. I guess they have more room for them? Collect some fish in some bushes, build another pipe. As we head deeper and deeper into this facility, we eventually realize that this is the Verminator HQ.
This is a federally run state establishment, strictly off limits to anyone without a badge. Now get lost.
Federally run? You're telling me tax dollars funded this place? The game literally shows you how much this business has been popping off since we started building the tower. Their products are really in demand, and it's become a multi-million-dollar business to take us out. Though weirdly enough, with this being our main adversary's HQ, I was expecting stiffer resistance? I mean, there's some, and by some I mean 2 green Verminators. You can tell these guys are getting several times more funding than they're qualified to handle. The first Bubble Bed level was called Infectious Blues, the second was called Bubble Bed Bonanza, and this one's called Bubble Bed Blues. Really original names, guys. The Verminators have stolen the patient. Why? F if I know. Starts off as a fun water level, then becomes a fun platforming level, then we get the patient and it becomes a less fun platforming level. You're carrying the patient for what feels like half the level. The pace really does slow down for these sections. Third office level, literal electricity pads on the ground that you would think hurt you and they might? Whatever, all of these office levels blend together. How many times do I have to rob this asshole before he gives up materialism? As always, the regular parts of the level are really fun. The time sections, less so. You know how drifting into something that holds items makes all of them automatically go into your cart? Well, that is something the game now holds against you, as that's the only way to collect some items quickly in these time limit areas. This is the first of what is probably my favorite kind of level. The objective is to collect 5 pipes, each being held by different Santas, but that's secondary because the real objective is to get a perfect score. One large area, 400 excess items. Unlimited time to go through every nook and cranny of this level to find them. There aren't many levels like this, but I wish there was, because honestly, I really like how you can go through this level at your own pace. Then once you have the pipes, you get sent to the car. Pick it up, and that's it. How good your score is based on how well you can find the items. Simple as that. Another cow level. Another level where it'd be real tedious to get a perfect score. The game was expecting you to strip people by drifting into them without missing a beat. Then the Verminator chucks a bomb onto the cow's head. Yeah, good to know their hatred of animals doesn't stop at the Rabbids. The several hundred animals we've collected will be much safer acting as foundation for our tower to the moon. The menu icon for this level shows a Christmas tree, but the level intro shows us stealing a bubble bed, which is odd. You do steal the Christmas tree right at the end, and that's the only Christmas related thing about this level. The rest of it is a pretty standard hospital level, but not bad. Hell, I prefer it over the time limit gimmick levels. The final Verminator flavor is introduced, the black variant, who does a ninja spin and is invulnerable while doing so. So just wait for them to stop and then drift into them. Nothing says Merry Christmas better than raiding a morgue. Do you think we can take his towel? Then, the next star level, we record a bunch of musical bullshit for a minute and then we get another light bulb. It's honestly a shame most of these star levels are complete wastes of time. I would have loved to explore the Rabbids Tower more. Other than the fact that it's another airport level, I quite like it. While I usually dispatch Verminators while drifting, something funny happens when you defeat them with the Bois attack. This level likes to bring back the water cooler ball thing, which is nice. I think it's underused. However, the level puts water on the floors to stop you from relying on drifting, which is kind of a bummer. Then after going through a bunch of air vents, oh right, I haven't mentioned the air vents yet. They're simple, don't worry about them. Then after an onslaught of spiked Verminators, blind shot. Ha, that's 2 birds with 1 stone. They give you the piano on a silver platter and that's that. Despite the name, they're not going to just catapult the cow straight into your car. This is a real platformer level. You better know how to drift like the back of your hand, otherwise you're gonna have a horrible time here. The fucking Verminators put bombs on the heads of dogs. Those bastards. These dogs will be much safer with me. This level is just a whole bunch of bullshit, and the ending. Fuck me, this level's exhausting. Another construction-themed level, but this time it's structured like the car level. Open-ended and free to explore. It's quite harder, but I like it. It really feels like a playground for me to maneuver around and explore. The Verminators have taken over every aspect of public life. You can't go anywhere in this city anymore without it being booby-trapped out the wazoo. Makes me wonder how anyone's getting anything done around here with all these dangerous instruments lying around. Their problem, not mine. Alright, 400 feet, let's get out of here. And with that, we have officially hit the 23,000 foot mark to unlock the final level. But we're not done yet. It's another tubing level, and I didn't die on this one either, though I'm pretty sure I got a lower score. There are parts of this level that punish you for even shaking your controller, which in my opinion is hilarious. The level's only that much harder if you're going for perfect scores. Instead of 4 missing items, this time I missed 5. Damn. Another airport level. Though this time instead of taking a jet engine, we're taking a landing gear. Just another good, simple level to go through. Though I am starting to notice that you can get locked out of items because you're presented with 2 paths, and you don't know which one goes further into the level, and which one is just a place with items. The earlier levels would have let you go back and collect everything, but we're not playing the earlier levels anymore. Despite that, the end of the level throws 2 green Verminators at me, as if the game still thinks that's in any way a threat to me. What better finale to have for the office levels than to steal the f***er's safe? He doesn't need it. What better shrine of capitalism than a safe? And we'll have it sacrificed for the sake of the pile. But first, we gotta get through this gauntlet. Motherfucker's trying to make a fast one. Come here, you rich asshole. What have we got in this next star level? It's Simon fucking Says. Bitch, give me that light bulb. We're in the end game now. The last chapter, the center city is under full quarantine, and the game is no longer pulling any punches, and that cannot be expressed more clearly than in the next level. The final bubble bed mission is probably the most insane mission in the game, design-wise. Nothing says capitalism than a skyline of casinos. I swear to God, Atlanta's f***ed up. Dante's Casino? Haven't we had enough Dante on this channel? It's getting to the point where I really don't know what's real anymore. Was this the closest toilets you could find? Also, thank God I didn't die because there are no collector rabbits in this level. Two of the last levels in this game are both airport levels. The first is probably the last standard linear level in the game, lots of bouncing and platforming. Complex layout, it is fittingly difficult, and while I struggled, I had a good time with it. There's one more huge air vent maze, and at the end you construct a pipe while trying to avoid Neatbot. I'm still not letting Neatbot get me. We grab the vase and get out. You've stolen jet engines, you've stolen landing gear, now you're stealing an entire 747. Another open-ended level for you to explore. Probably not as fun as the other two to explore, but still a good time. Neatbot makes one more appearance, there's tons of enemies, it's a fun time, and yes, we do fit that plane down the toilet. The penultimate level, and the final Cal level, having us take a detour to Miami. I'm sure they caught a flight down there with the plane they just stole. Overall, this is probably the hardest level to get a perfect score, but playing to completion, it's not that bad. There's still the same thing with the bomb at the end, but it's manageable. I even get a decent score, and with that, the only thing left is to take it back to the pile. They're raiding the tower. They filled it with traps. The first arena has us going through many spiked verminators with not much room to maneuver. I gotta say, the music that plays during this level is absolutely amazing. Probably my favorite from the soundtrack. And it's a backdrop to one of the hardest sections the game has to offer, not giving you any room to breathe. You will die at least once on your first time, probably more. But it's not gonna stop us. Because unlike all the humans in this game who slave away in their work, we didn't do this for a paycheck. We did it because we chose to.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!